Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Kathy Gardino, 16 Ridgeway Road, and I am the treasurer of NORCAM. And thank you to the Board of Selectmen, our town administrator, the school committee, the finance committee, and all town committees and departments for the work that you do in what is probably the most difficult time in the history of North Reading town government. These difficult times require creative thinking as budget dollars are stretched to maintain our current level of services and strategies are developed to avoid layoff of town employees. Your hard work has shown positive results over the past year. We recognize this hard work and appreciate your efforts. Over the past few months, Marissa has asked you to listen with an open mind, to apply creative thinking, to consider reprioritizing in an effort to provide an essential service which benefits every town department, the teen community, and ultimately every North Reading resident. It is important for everyone here to be reminded of the history and how we came to be here tonight. In 2003, more than 150 concerned citizens and parents attended the police department's forum on drugs and alcohol. I was one of the people here. Mark and Judy Hall were also here, Joanne Pulowski attended, and Christine Fisher and Giles Norton were also here. We were here separately that night, but with a shared concern about what North Reading teens were facing. At that time, I had already seen 2 of my children graduate from North Reading High School, and I observed countless situations, as every parent has, involving teen issues, where guidance, resources, and other alternatives could have made a difference. The forum was eye-opening. This town had seen several deaths from overdose and from alcohol-related accidents. We looked for a way to help, but there was no sign-up sheet that night. Why was this happening in a town with wonderful teachers, unlimited sports teams, and a multitude of youth organizations? The police department ran the program again in 2004, and we were reminded of the difficult and often overwhelming choices our teens were faced with each day. Again, we looked for a way to help, and again, no sign-up sheet. But the day-to-day trials our kids faced were still there and were very real. Finally, in 2005, where week after week the transcript reported alcohol abuse, house break-ins, arrests for possession of heroin, and drug overdoses, our discussions escalated. Hours of research were completed, and a plan was developed. The police department's call to action was answered by a committed group of citizens. North Reading Youth Services Support Association was created to address positive teen choices. When the original concept was being developed, we saw a need for everyday services and support throughout the town, on the athletic fields, at the library, at Ipswich River Park, and literally in every town organization where young people have an impact. These services were especially needed outside regular school hours. We felt at that time that Marissa would provide the missing piece to the puzzle of youth and school organizations. Tonight, we need to focus on whether this department has proven to be an essential service to the town of North Reading, and we need to look to the future. In 2 years, this department and its director have charted major accomplishments. 1, successfully provided support, guidance, and referrals for many teens and families on drug and alcohol abuse and other destructive teen issues facing our community. 2, developed a partnership with the school department to provide guidance on alcohol and drug prevention, sexual health issues, bullying, school violence, and promoting teens to make good decisions. 3, developed a partnership with the police department for a court diversion program, substituting community service obligations for court appearances and arrests. 16 individuals have been referred from the police department. 4, coordinated referrals for many teens and their families to child and adolescent psychologists, anger management specialists, local crisis hotlines and centers, and legal counsel regarding issues of violence, bullying, criminal acts, and sexual and mental health. 5, acted as interface between state agencies such as CHINS, Child in Need of Service, and DCF, the Department of Children and Families, to ensure that families receive all the outside support available to them. 6, provided support to teens having academic problems, facing suspension and expulsion for disciplinary issues in schools, and in need of tutoring or mentoring. And 7, collaborated with the schools, the Parks and Recreation Department, library, police department, the Northeast Center for Healthy Communities, as well as Andover, North Andover, and Winchester Youth Services to provide programming that promotes community service, leadership, and good decision-making. More than $120,000 has been raised by NORCAM to fund this position for 2 years. These donations came from local businesses, townspeople, and people outside North Reading who recognize the damage drugs, alcohol, bullying, and low self-esteem can bring. The recession did not keep us from meeting our commitment, but rather prevented us from extending the funding. Since NORCAM held its first community meeting back in 2006, we recognized the importance of grant writing. We assembled a committee that has sent out a total of 46 grant applications. We have received funding from 3, totaling $6,000. In the world of grants, the good news is that North Reading is a wonderful community, relatively affluent, with many youth organizations. But the bad news is that we do not fit the profile many foundations are seeking to assist, and therefore have little luck in this area. We also have learned that successful funding through grants takes years to develop, and we will continue to work in this area. To give you some background on the Youth Services Committee and their work, I would like at this time to introduce the Chair of the Youth Services Committee, Ed Santosuaso.
Thank you, Kathy. I'd like to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to show up and have your voices be heard tonight. As you know, we are here tonight to determine the future of the Youth Services Department. At the October town meeting in 2006, the Youth Services Committee was created by an overwhelming vote, and the committee's first meeting took place in March 2007. I was part of the hiring committee given the immediate priority to interview and hire the Youth Services Director. There were hundreds of candidates, and the interviewing process took about 3 months. In October 2007, the first Youth Services Director, Jenny O'Leary, was hired as a town employee. After the hiring was complete, the Youth Services Committee's function was to meet with the Youth Services Director on a regular basis to help develop programming, implement policies and procedures, and to monitor the success of the program. For those of you who may not know what North Reading Youth Services is all about, our mission statement is as follows. North Reading Youth Services' mission is to allow for the voice of our youth to be heard in the community. We strive to establish student-driven, social and experiential activities by providing opportunities for young adults to become active members of our community. Through the Youth Services program, we hope to foster a healthy self-image and encourage positive decision-making for middle and high school age youth. I am proud to report that since the inception of the program, it has consistently met its mission statement and has exceeded the committee's expectations. The Youth Services Department has had contact with over 2,000 kids and has a core group of teens that meet every week to establish activities. The program participation has steadily increased over the past 2 years and continues to grow. There have been 700 contacts at the youth group meetings. Over 400 teens have done over 800 hours of community service. The mentoring program has produced 26 mentors and over 170 direct contact hours, and there have been various educational workshops and school presentations that were attended by over 325 teens. Many of these teens are here tonight to show their support for the program and to be actively involved in town government. Jenny O'Leary, the Youth Services Director, has become a trusted resource and a valuable referral source for many of the families and teens in North Reading that are in need of services. She has collaborated with the police department, the high school and middle school principals, the Parks and Recreation Department, and the library staff to develop and initiate programs targeting many of the youth and family issues facing the town. This committee has received testimonials from all of these departments confirming the valuable and positive contributions that Jenny and the Youth Services Department has had in the community. Currently, a great deal of time and money goes into dealing with a teenager that has made a bad decision and is in trouble. A major focus of the Youth Services Department is to help teenagers make good decisions, take personal responsibility for their actions, and provide research-based prevention strategies. Why not make the decision to fund this program today and continue to provide a safe environment where teens can go to learn how to make good decisions? And now, it is my pleasure to introduce the Youth Services Director, Jenny O'Leary, who will provide additional insight into the valuable role that North Reading Youth Services provides to the community.
Hi there, Jenny O'Leary, Youth Services Director. Believe me, it's just as painful to speak on the same subject over and over again as it is to have to listen, so I'm sorry to ask for the meeting again. But we do want to make sure that we've covered everyone's concerns before we let such an important issue go to vote. So thank you all very much for taking the time to listen to us. Tonight, there are kids at town meeting. They were here in October too, and at several Board of Selectmen meetings throughout the year. For those of you who have been consistently involved in town politics, think about the last time you saw kids in a town meeting. I have heard the remark that Youth Services is a special interest group and that tonight is a special interest meeting, but youth do not have the right to vote. They are not showing up to exercise that power. They are here because they believe in this program. They are passionate about it, and they want to know why people are even considering taking it away from them. Every program has certain people that become really involved. Sports teams, the theater department, the band. Think about the places that you work, eat, exercise. You see the same faces over and over. Call us creatures of habit, but we all have our regulars. I've heard the remark that you see the same kids at these meetings or in pictures of many of our events. First of all, there's something to be said for the fact that they keep coming back. Second of all, yes, of course we see many of the same faces because these are our regulars. They are taking full advantage of the program. They plan many of our events and they attend them. This does not mean that this core group are the only teams being served by this program. Youth group is one aspect of what we do. We also have a mentoring program for elementary school-aged youth. We offer community service to juniors and seniors looking to fulfill a requirement, and to those youth who need mandatory community service hours through the police, the courts, or the juvenile fire starters program. We reach out to kids in need. We are here to answer their questions. We work with parents and families. We get calls from parents who need resources, whose children we may never meet, that are not involved in our programs. We work with multiple other town departments. We get calls from local businesses about youth behavior. Youth Services is here to serve this community, and that is not a special interest group. I've heard the remark that this program should be continued to be funded philanthropically. But philanthropy is not evenly distributed or regulated. Grants do not typically fund salaries, but rather fund programming and capital projects. Individuals choose where to give and how much. According to a study done by the Stanford Graduate School of Business on how individuals distribute their charitable donations, there is quite notably an unevenness. 60% of philanthropic giving is to religious organizations, and just 9% goes to human services organizations. And for the first time in 21 years, we have seen a decrease in giving. I've heard that our schools already offer youth programming, so why add more? We have an excellent school system, and our schools do offer many after-school activities and clubs for youth to become involved in. No one is saying that the schools do not live up to the expectations of the community and go far beyond